Ladies and gentlemen, pressure bust pipes is what they say, or sometimes there's just a lot on your shoulders. Well, this upcoming season, there are a lot of questions. Who can handle the pressure the most? That's the main question we got to answer. And I'm hoping I can shed some light and we can talk about it. It's the Rico Reports, the Buffalo Fanatics. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Rico back at it again. It's the Rico Report brought to you by the Buffalo Fanatics. Folks, this upcoming season is going to be something, man. I have the most confidence in this team. I have the most confidence in my quarterback, head coach, all that surrounding this team, especially the big key parts of the squad. Number 17 is the one that stands out to the most. But there are going to be a lot of questions this upcoming season, as there should be, because we lost some key players this offseason. We know that. Obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, Stephon Diggs being gone, Gabe Davis being gone. Those are the obvious. Those are the things we do know, right? We ain't got to really talk about that for a lengthy period of time because we already know it. And there's a lot of offseason left for us to discuss those very things. Now, in this short stream that I'm going to do for y'all, I'm looking at the players that have the most to prove. And I hate to use the word pressure, but pressure with the most to prove, they go hand in hand. When I've got a lot of pressure on me, that means I've got to prove a lot, right? And when there's a lot for you to prove on the squad, that creates pressure. So I think, to me, they go hand in hand. So I want to kind of talk about some of the folks that do have some pressure on them, or we could put it that they've got a lot to prove this upcoming season. Before I get into it, who do y'all think is on the on that cusp, on that drip of, I'm watching this player right here because this is make or break. And I talk about the offensive pieces. I mean the sexy pieces, right? The receiver pieces. Don't forget we lost some folks on the offensive line too, right? Did I hint out on who I want to talk about? Maybe. The defensive front, are they going to be as potent as they were last year? Did we feel that they were strong enough last year? Do we lack some things? I might be even talking about that. The receiver room. Do rookies fall in this category? Heck yeah, they do. Heck yeah, they do. So without further ado, I ain't gonna mince. I ain't gonna talk about a whole bunch of things. I want to hit this topic and this topic alone. We're gonna get into it. So I'm thinking, okay, overall, this squad, I love the squad. I love everything about this team. But I mean, there are going to be some things that that I question. There are going to be people that I question. And the first person that came to mind with how this team is going to operate is this guy right here, Connor McGovern. Folks, listen, Mitch Morse, we already know what time it is with Mitch Morse. Mitch Morse was a veteran, savvy, just a solid leader on this squad. So when you lose the individual, when you lose the locker room presence, that's a big piece, man. You guys know what time it is. Like whenever if you're going to class, right? High school, I would say high school because I mean that's the time we had the most fun. And some might say college, but high school you have your class clowns and so on and so forth, right? So one year you had the best classroom. We had the jokesters, we had the this, we had the that. And then you go into next year and your classroom's completely different. It's not the same vibe, right? So certain people, certain students, certain players that change the dynamic of a team. Vice versa. Sometimes some people can be problematic and it changes the dynamic of a locker room. So Mitch Morse being lost to the Jags, obviously we had an opportunity to bring it back, but we felt A, too rich. B, I mean, it wasn't because the contract he signed over there wasn't too crazy. But I think it was time that we moved on from him because we wanted to obviously get younger, a little more athletic at the offensive line piece. So in comes Connor McGovern. Connor McGovern, we brought him from the Dallas Cowboys. He slotted in at guard. was serviceable. Did a good job. Wasn't a liability. Let's put it that way. Was not a liability. Now he slots in to the center position. Now it's not like he's never played the position before. It's not like the team did not have plans to put him at center in the first place. That was the notion all along. He's versatile, and that's exactly what Bean wants. A lineman that is versatile. Can I move you from left to right? Ryan Bates was essentially that guy that you can move from left to right, literally. He can play left tackle, right tackle, all the way into the middle at center. So you need someone that can jump in. So insert Connor McGovern, a guy that's been in the league. He's got starting power underneath him. He's been in the league. He's been in this position. Was a no-brainer, in my opinion. But here's where the pressure lies. We didn't just allow Connor McGovern to say, you're our guy, and that's that. We brought in Will Clapp. We drafted Cedric Van Pran Granger. That alone should put a little pressure on Connor McGovern. Now, I'm not saying he's nipping at Connor's heels. It's just that we're going to be watching, because not only did you replace Mitch Morse, now you've got a young stud that's played the game, that's got ability to play center, and he's done it for most of his college career. He's going to be nipping at your heels. So as much as we love Mitch and we loved him on the squad, and he was just a solid piece. Little things that you see, his interviews, even when people are yelling in the screen saying, let's go, or big dubs, he'd come in and give you a head nod and keep it pushing. That's just how he rolled, right? So that being said, Connor McGovern is the guy that I'm sitting here looking at. And furthermore, I kind of want to show you guys where he's at. So I'm about to look up I had my my PFF up, because I wanted to see where he ranked PFF wise and how he fared last year. So let me kind of open my stuff up here as we do this. But for the most part, when I'm looking at guys that have got most to prove, we are going to be watching that center position. I mean, Josh Allen was sacked 24 times last year, one of the least sacked quarterbacks. I know this sounds like a broken record, but we want to keep that up. And I think we do keep it up with a guy that's as mobile as he is. And when Josh is moving in the pocket, you have somebody that's not slow of feet. He's going to be able to stay with linemen and move and allow Josh to have time, buy time, and do what he's supposed to do. So that I'm looking very much forward to seeing. But there's going to be a lot of pressure on Connor McGovern, and we're going to be watching them, because once we start seeing the line kind of break down, we start seeing snaps kind of get out of hand, right? Too low, too high. What's going on with the center position? So that's going to play a big part. But that's why you have an offseason. That's why you have mini camp, OTAs, training camp, all that stuff, to kind of put those things into perspective. However, we are going to be watching the O-line. Deion Dawkins returns with a nice newly fresh extension. You got David Edwards taking over at left guard. He's got some starting under his belt, so I'm not too worried about that left guard position. Connor McGovern takes over at center. And obviously, we've got Osiris Torrance going to his second year alongside Spencer Brown. So still a solid young core of linemen. I mean, I can't really call my man Deion Dawkins young, because he's going into year 7 now. So he's in that range where, I mean, you ain't no rookie no more. You're a young player, but you're not an old head yet. You're right in that sweet spot. So and he's the only guy that's been protecting Josh Allen's blind side. So let's keep it up, man. Love it. So Connor McGovern, we're going to be watching you, bro. We want to make sure that everything stays intact. We want to make sure that our guy, Josh Allen, jersey stays clean. And listen, man, we're hoping that run game continues to open up and we get good things going. So, but if things start to kind of, it's not as smooth as I thought it was going to be. It's not as great as I thought it was going to be. Van Pran's going to be sitting here waiting. I think I think a lot of folks think that was one of the sneakier, solid picks. And I happen to agree. So we will be paying attention to see how that all plays out at that center position. But I think good things are coming. I think when some people perform best under pressure, and knowing that you're the man, you're the guy that's going to be taking over at the center position, hold on to that and go hard. Because if not, you got some competition behind you. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out with my guy, Connor McGovern. What say you? Who is on your list of guys you'll be paying attention to, that guys that have lots to prove this year, or quite frankly, pressure? Is there a lot of pressure on some of these guys? So let's go to my next candidate for most to prove slash got a lot of pressure on you. And I'm going to go to this guy right here. And I think a lot of us would say we agree. And if you guys aren't sure who I'm talking about, Mr. Von Miller himself. Von Miller, 35 years of age. We already know what time it is. Not a whole lot of production last year. Did we anticipate that? If you're a realist, then yes, you would have anticipated that. How do you expect a 34-year-old coming off of a knee injury to come back and perform like it was just a couple years prior? It's not feasible. It's not doable. And if that happens, it's an anomaly. It doesn't normally happen. Like Adrian Peterson can do something like that. Bust his knee open, ACL tear, all that stuff, return the following year and have a monster year like he did miss a beat. Not everybody can do that. That's crazy to me. However, all eyes will be on Von Miller because Von Miller got paid a lot of money. And at the moment when we did pay him, we were all wondering what Brandon Beane was going to do, right? Remember that offseason? Why is Brandon Beane sitting on his hands? Why is he making a move? Why is he making a splash? We need something. Enter Von Miller. And folks kind of took that news with glee. They were like, wow, we got Von Miller. That's amazing. However, damn, that's a whole lot of money, man. We paid him, what, 120 mil over 6 years? That's crazy. So fast forward to right now, he was put in a position either maybe potentially get cut or you need to take a pay cut. And that he did. He took a pay reduction to return for potentially one final year. And here we are at age 35. What do you expect from Von Miller? What are we to expect from Von Miller? What does Von Miller expect from himself? What's he going to bring to the table? So some could say you could use last year as his comeback year to kind of get your confidence back on that knee. Because not everybody comes back, you know what I mean, ready to roll. I mean, when Trey White came back the year after he tore his knee up, you kind of wonder, is he going to be the same player? Is he going to be that guy? Right? It took him some time. And then he comes back looking like himself and tears the Achilles. Then you're like, come on, you can't catch a break. So it takes some time. It takes time, especially at age 35. It's definitely going to take you time. I mean, there's some of us in this chat right now are in the later years of the 30s, mid 30s to 40s. Some of us might be in the 50s. You guys already know what time it is, man. Sometimes you need to go and pick something up. You're like, ooh, I just felt some little tweak in my back, right? Or you go for, you go to reach for something and somebody calls your name, you turn around and you're like, I just pulled something. Those things do happen when you start to age, right? So to anticipate Von Miller to come back refreshed and a young buck, it's not going to happen. So what's the expectation for a Von Miller? So statistically, if this is his final year, he had his last year as a refresher. What I need from Von Miller is at least, and I have to pay attention to how old he is and what he's coming from. But I need 10 from you, man. You're a future Hall of Famer. I need 10. Is that too much to ask? I need 10 sacks, bro. Because you will have some help. You will have some guys pushing the pocket to help you out. You have great linebacking core behind you. So I'm anticipating that my man comes in and does what he's supposed to do. Von Miller, there is going to be pressure on him because we drafted. I'm not saying that Javon Solomon is going to come in and take over, but we got some youth behind him. AJ Epinesa is going to be kind of doing his thing. He's going to try it. Listen, 6.5 sacks twice in a row. I love that. Greg Rousseau, we're going to be watching Greg Rousseau. So we've got some guys that you can piece around. And the biggest thing, and we've talked about this before, not only did we sign Von Miller with such a big contract, but there was a reason we signed him. Obviously for play on the field, but what he can instill into the others. So Von Miller, if you physically aren't going to be giving us what we'd love for you to have, at least try to get these guys, empower these guys next to you so they can get to the quarterback, pressure the quarterback, move them off the mark, right? And then you can clean up. So I'm hoping Von can morph into his old self, can regain that confidence in his knee, because he's confident as ever, but regain that confidence in his knee and get this thing going. So Von Miller, most folks I'll be paying attention. Is there pressure on you at age 35? Not a whole lot. However, you do have a lot to prove. You want to prove something to yourself. Can you do it? And that's what it comes down to. That's why I use pressure and kind of a lot to prove. Well, this is one of those players that we're going to be watching, and I'm hoping that he comes in and says, you know what, let me take the bull by the reins, this type of let me take the bull by the horns and show you that I still got it. And who benefits from this? The Bills, heavily. So I'm looking forward to it. So Von Miller, definitely one of the players that I'll be looking forward to seeing. All right, how are you going to step your game up? How are you going to do it? And to me, what he did statistically last year, I don't count it, because he was just coming back. He just wasn't fully himself. So this is the year that you could really truly say, you know what, I'm counting on you. Let's see what you can do. Now, is he still good enough to start? Is he still good enough to, get the majority of snaps at the end position? That is what we'll be all paying attention to, because Javon Solomon, I believe, is going to get a lot of touches and a lot of play time. And obviously, Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa are going to get some play time. So looking forward to seeing how that all plays out this upcoming season. But we got all offseason to kind of figure out how this depth chart is going to play out. So Vaughn, we watch you, bro. We are watching to see how it all plays out for my guy, Von Miller. So that's 2 players down. We've talked about Connor McGovern, the center, the newly touted center for the Bills. And we went to the defensive side of the ball, and we were talking about Von Miller. Von Miller being that guy. So who do you guys have as a person that you're watching, you're paying attention to see what can this player do? I saw in the chat when somebody mentioned Greg Rousseau. We're going to be watching Greg Rousseau. What is Greg Rousseau going to give us, right? Listen, Greg Rousseau was drafted first round, late in the first round. And then we double up with Boogie Basham in the round after that. So obviously that didn't work out with Boogie Basham. He's now potentially, I think he's still on the Giants. So that being said, Greg Rousseau is one that we've been paying attention to. Make my list to the guys I'm going to be paying attention to, because the pressure shouldn't necessarily be on him, because there's not high expectations. I don't think there's high expectations for Greg Rousseau. In my opinion, I think that he's the player we thought he would be. Solid defensive run player, can get after the quarterback, and can play inside and outside. Do we want a little bit more from him? Of course we would. But is there a lot of pressure on Greg Rousseau to be that guy? I personally don't think so. But let the season play out. I'm hoping that he does come in and do big things. Let's go, because I'm not ranking this by 1 to 5. I'm just kind of putting players out that I feel that there's people that are going to be paying attention. So let's go. Let me switch things up a little bit. Let's switch things up. It might be unfair. It might be unfair to say the pressure's on and there's a lot to prove by Cole Bishop, but I use this image only to lament on the safety group together is where we'll be paying attention. Because listen, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, huge pieces on this defense for the last 7 years. Like it's unheard of to have a tandem stay together that long. That's crazy. That's honestly amazing. First and foremost, amazing to have. But now that duo is gone. Could we get Micah Hyde back? It's a possibility. He says it's the Bills or nobody. Whether he decides to come back, that's a whole nother ball game. Where does he fit? I left the depth chart conversation for my man Z-Bot and I. So we'll kind of go through the depth chart and see where it all plays out. But the pressure will be on the safety room. Why? Because a lot of times the defense could do what they wanted to do, especially the front seven, because you had trust in the 2 guys you had in the backfield in Micah Hyde and Poyer. These guys play well off of each other. They've been playing with each other since 2017. So when you lose that in 1 year, you got to flip that in 1 year. It's a challenge. So Coach McDermott's going to have his hands full with how he gets this young group innovated and getting them in there. Now, the positive in this situation is Taylor Rapp isn't a brand new guy onto the squad. Taylor Rapp, you knew that when they signed him at age 25, he had a future with this team if he played well enough that we would say, okay, let's talk about it. And that turned into a contract extension. So Taylor Rapp going into his second year in the same system helps tremendously. Now you bring in Mike Edwards, two-time Super Bowl champ. He's got the experience. He knows what it takes defensively to get to where you need to. And I'm not talking about solely on the skill, because he's not a ball hawk per se, but he's a savvy vet. He knows where to be, and he's been on squads that have won. Tampa Bay being one, Chiefs being another. So this safety position is going to be interesting, because now you can't rely on Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer to be right where they're supposed to be in order for you to do what you need to do. So now there's going to be some hiccups back there. There's going to be some chemistry issues. So this group is going to have a lot of pressure, because you got big shoes to fill. You got to fill the shoes of Poyer and Hyde. And that's not easy. That's not easy. You can talk about how, all right, but they're aging. They weren't the same player the last couple of years. You're absolutely right. They were not the same player. We've definitely gotten younger in that position with Cole Bishop, obviously, and Taylor Rapp. We got younger. We got a little more athletic. We got a little more speed back there. However, being in the right position at the right time pays dividends to the defense, right? And now quarterbacks are watching that. Okay, I know Micah Hyde is always where he's supposed to be. It's very difficult to move him with my eyes. So now now that I have a new backfield back there, maybe quarterbacks will manipulate the defense. So this is where coaching will matter. This is where being in the right position, being on top of things will matter. And this is why a guy like Mike Edwards coming in, not a young guy. He's been in the game. He knows. So we're hoping that he can kind of lead these guys and have them playing in the right position at the right time, and giving our front seven the ability to get after the quarterback. Because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of folks that will talk about which is more important, sacking the quarterback and getting after the quarterback, or tight coverage. One can say, well, if you have tight coverage, you get those what we call coverage sacks. Well, if you get enough pressure on the quarterback, that quarterback is going to rush that throw, and this is where defense comes in, forcing turnovers, incompletions. So it goes, which one do you like? Both of them are great. You want both, pressure on the quarterback and tight coverage. But now, where does this all fall in? So to me, I like the Taylor Rapp extension. I like the Taylor Rapp addition, and the boy's a missile. He's gonna go in there and get in the nitty gritty. And Cole Bishop, size wise, and he's got decent speed. He plays on the line and he can play in coverage. And now you have a guy that can kind of man up with the bigger tight ends. So your Travis Kelce's of the world, and your Cole Kmets of the big time Mark Andrews of the world. I'm not saying he's the quintessential lockdown safety, but he can bang with those boys. So I'm looking forward to seeing Mike, Cole, and all them boys get going. Now they got to stay healthy. That's the biggest one. You got to stay healthy, because if you don't, now you're switching things up. Now you're getting DeMar Hamlin in the mix. And now you're probably having to go and pick out a Cam Lewis, get Cam Lewis back there to play a little safety. Do we want that? No. We want these guys to stay healthy. We want these guys to do what they got to do. So staying healthy, this group, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this group. But I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how they transition, how this defense transitions from Poyer and Hyde, veteran savvy guys that know exactly where they're supposed to be, and this new group, Taylor, Mike, obviously DeMar is in the mix as well, and obviously Cole Bishop. So what say you guys in terms of this, looking at this safety position? Is that our weakest? Would you say that's our weakest position group? If you look at the defensive front, you look at the linebacking crew, you look at the cornerback room, and then the safety room, is that our weak link on the defense? You guys let me know. So Cole Bishop and this safety room, we're going to be watching y'all. Is there pressure on you guys? Yeah, you got some big shoes to fill. There are some big shoes for y'all to fill. So we are looking forward to seeing how this all shakes out at that safety position. That's why you love these OTAs and these training camps, because somebody will emerge and really kind of take over that room. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. So let's move on to the next individual. This one right here. And that's our guy. That's our rookie extraordinaire, the guy that most most people and media are loving, and as they should. He's a good kid, and it shows, and he's genuine, and he's real, and that's a big thing. Now, there's a lot of love going towards Keon Coleman's way, but there's gonna be some pressure on this brother. I don't care what anybody wants to tell me. But he's a rookie. He's not gonna. They're not supposed. You're not supposed to put a lot of pressure on the rookie unless it's a quarterback that's about to start. Nah, bro. The way our situation has played out, we moved on. We moved on from Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. So that opens up, that makes this room, the receiver room has been the most talked about this offseason, right? Moving on from your number one and two receiver. So now what? What are we doing? What are we looking at? So to me, there is pressure on Keon Coleman, whether you want this or not. I hate it that there is going to be pressure on him, but that's just the nature of the game. You're the first pick in the draft. You're the first pick in the draft. And not only were you the first pick in the draft, you're I don't want to say supposed to replace per se, but there's two seats for you to freaking replace and jump into, and we're going to expect some good things from our first pick. And it's par for the course, man. That's just what it is. So will he step up to the plate and deliver? I think there will be growing pains. I've said this before. I think there's going to be some growing pains. I think there's going to be some moments where you're like, okay, is he ready? Or he shoots right off the jump, and he's contributing right off the bat. But there will be pressure because now the game that he drops the touchdown, the day that he can't get separation, or there's going to be a game where they set it up where they just take him out of the game completely and he's non-existent. Now it's like, woof. Was it a good idea for the Bills to move on from Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis? Maybe they should have kept him. There's going to be a lot of those conversations. So in this scenario, he's got a grand opportunity to shut a lot of people up because they will be talking. They will be paying attention. And will he be able to? The pressure's on him whether he wants to take that on or not, because we're going to be watching. We're going to be expecting. Expectation is a bitch because a lot of fans like myself, we have expectations for our team. We have high expectations. We've had a standard. The last 5 years, we've had a solid standard. And we've been winning the AFC the last 4 years. We've been atop of the AFC East. And we're anticipating that it continues. So in comes Keon Coleman in a very sexy position group. Bro, we're gonna be needing you. And now that people have been kind of glorifying this man and making him, that dude, because of his personality, it creates more pressure on him because we like him so much. We want success for him. And then when he will have a bad game, because there's going to be a game where it's like, damn, that was a rough game for my guy, Keon Coleman. Boy, are people going to be talking. They're going to be talking. And rightfully so. That comes with the position and that comes with the situation that we're in. But I think that he's going to step up to the game. He's going to step up to the plate. I think he's got the ability to. And if they use him correctly and they put him in position to succeed, bro, this guy could be really good, man. I mean, we just got to make sure that we give him the routes that he's supposed to take. The one beef that I have with Joe Brady, I haven't really expressed this, but the one beef I have with Joe Brady is there were moments where he was having Stephon Diggs do things that were like, why? Why are you making Stephon Diggs of all players do this route? And how often did you see Stephon Diggs on a hitch? It was just a quick boom hitch. I was like, I don't like Stephon in that position going for a hitch, but I get it. You're trying to get him involved. You're trying to get the ball in his hands, and you're trying to get him warmed up. But for me, that's what I saw. I saw a lot of that. So I was like, why put Stephon Diggs in that position? Why not put him doing something else where you could utilize his skill set better? So I'm hoping that they utilize the skill set of Keon Coleman to his best of his abilities and doing what he does best, and not the things just to kind of get him warmed up. I mean, I saw it too often. Steph was doing an end around. I was like, what? I don't want Steph doing an end around. That's not his game. But that's what it was. Now I get it. Sometimes you just gotta, if someone's not, in the groove, you want to get him in the groove, get the ball in their hands, get him hit, do all that good stuff. But I didn't like it. There was far too often in the second half of the season. That's what I was relegated to seeing. A lot of the catches that Steph was getting for us was, a couple catches on hitches. I was like, I'm not a big fan of that. So I'm hoping that Coach Joe Brady finds a way to to get Keon and put him in the best position to succeed in the best position for his team and use his damn skill set. You know what time it is, man. Red zone, throw it up, let him go get it. He's got the reach, he's got the explosive ability. He ain't you mean quick, but he can get a separation. He can do what he's supposed to do. So we'll see. This is what I'm wholeheartedly looking forward to. But pressure is going to be on my guy Keon Coleman. Whether you want to talk about it or not, he's going to be. So we shall see. We shall see. So Keon Coleman, one of the guys that I'll be paying attention to. And we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. A couple more before I get out of here, folks. Let me get to my banners. And how are you guys feeling? Are you with me when it comes to Keon Coleman? Pressure being on Keon Coleman, is that something that stands out to you? You guys let me know. Here we go. This guy right here, Coach Bobby Babich. There's gonna be some pressure on my man, and there's gonna be a lot to prove. Why? You are now running the defense. You're the guy. And some might say, well, he may be, defensive coordinator. He may be that guy, but we all know McDermott's the one that's going to be calling plays and doing that. Well, hold on now, because McDermott is not dead set, on calling plays. He's not dead set yet. He said, I'm going to give it some time before I make my decision. So that being said, this one here, pressure, no. Lots to prove, yes, especially if they give him the play calling duties. Because now you're in a position as head coach, if you give up the duties and he doesn't succeed, now you're having to be in a position to say, let me take that back. So you don't want to be a defensive coordinator given responsibility to call plays and do what you do and then get it taken back from you. That's not what you want. That's not how you get ahead. And that's not how you get a head coaching position. Because, at the end of the day, when you're given a coordinator position, eventually you're trying to get into a head coaching spot. And in this regard, Babich has an opportunity. Yes, he doesn't have his two mainstay safeties, which is fine. I think that he's got enough developmental skills in him to develop the guys that he's got around him. And with this guy right here, if they give him the ability to call plays and he succeeds and he runs with it, great call. That means he took on the role, and now he's got this defense just going, and he might give us a little something different than our guy McDermott. And they're going to be working together, so a lot of what is done is going to be consulted with McDermott, obviously game plan and all that good stuff. But this move right here, I think I'm actually excited for this one. I'm excited to see what he brings. He coached up the defensive backfield, and they've only had success. He coaches up the linebacking crew. They've only had success. Look at Terrell Bernard. Terrell Bernard went from a guy that was like, I don't know who this brother is, out of Baylor. I don't know who that brother is. And Kim, AFC Player of the Week, AFC Player of the. You're like, okay, 140 plus tackles, 6.5 sacks, 3 interceptions. Okay, now you pair him with Milano. Then you got the upcoming in Dorian Williams. And we got some savvy veteran guys that we brought in Deion Jones and Nicholas Moreau. So we got a good linebacking crew, but that was developed by Mr. Babich himself. So now he takes over the whole defense. The wonderful thing about this situation is they know what you're going to get from this guy. They know. You don't bring in and elevate a guy like this not knowing that he's gonna have success. Like, he's gonna have success. They trust him. So whether he now calls plays, boom, that's going to be the one that is going to be interesting. Now, I don't want to call it ego. It's not an ego thing, but is McDermott going to be humble enough? Is that the word? Is that the right word to use? Is he going to be humble enough to give up the play calling and let Bobby take over? Is he going to allow that to happen? Or is he says, nah, I can't relinquish that, man. I really can't. But it seems as though McDermott might be leaning towards just taking on the head coaching role and giving up some of his responsibilities. Listen, didn't we bring in Perry, the ex-official that's now going to be one of our liaisons that's going to be pretty much telling you, hey, challenge that. Ooh, that's not a good call, or whatever the case is. That responsibility was on Coach McDermott. McDermott's like, off my plate. We have someone that's going to deal with that and deal with that alone. All right, bet. So are you going to give up more of your duties so you can take on a bigger role as head coach instead of you having to sit there and call plays? Let this young buck do it, man. 40 years old, ready to go. You trust him. He's moved up the ranks. So now it's about, does he call plays? Does he give it up to him? And that's what we're going to be watching. And it's not set in stone yet. They asked McDermott, will you give up those play calls? He says, I'm not sure yet. I still need time to kind of figure out what we're going to do. We're not there yet. So maybe by training camp, we'll find out. But there's all offseason to find out what kind of mind frame and what kind of scheme and way he wants to play defense is what we're going to find out about Mr. Babich or not. Does McDermott give up the calling of the plays? Does he delegate? Does he give that up to him? We're about to find out. Is he going to give it up? Is he humble enough to do that? Because that's your baby. You went from not calling plays to now calling plays, and you had the itch. You wanted to get back into it, and you loved it. And quite frankly, I think he's a very good defensive coordinator. I think he's a very good coach. I like Coach McDermott a lot, and I think that he's got he's got the right pulse to get this defense back on track. But sometimes you just need a fresh mind. You need fresh eyes, and this is where this young man comes in. So we gonna be paying attention heavily paying attention. So Coach Babich, pressure's on, baby. Pressure's on. And I think that you'll be able to, I think you'll take over. I think you'll absolutely take over. So last but not least on my list, and I've got honorable mentions as well. But last on my list is this guy right here. I think you guys know what's coming, right? Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. All right. So folks, you guys might say Josh Allen's got pressure on him. You got Josh Allen with the most to prove? What do you mean? What does he got to prove? The guy is Pro Bowler. He's top 3 quarterback in the game. What are we talking about here? Well, here's my angle on why I have Josh Allen on a lot to prove, most to prove, and going into this year. All right. So here's the deal. We already know what happened on the offensive side of the ball. All right. We lost some key pieces on the team. I'll have to remind you just because of what I'm trying to get into. So obviously, Mitch Morse, you lose your starting center. He gone. He out. He gone. Right? You lose Stephon Diggs. You lose Gabe Davis. The 2 guys that have been with you the last 4 years. Out of here. You got a fresh new receiving core. Now, you got some guys that you kind of you got chemistry with. Dalton Kincaid being one of them. Khalil Shakir being another. Your longest tenured receiver on the team is Khalil Shakir. Go figure, right? So now you're throwing the football to Mac Hollins, Keon Coleman, rookie, Curtis Samuel. You know what I mean? So Chase Claypool, MVS, you got a bevy of new receivers that you've got to now get acclimated with and make sure that you're on par with each and every one of these cats. So how will he pan out? How will this work out? There is pressure on Josh because Josh now has to show that he can lead this team without the likes of Stephon Diggs. He can lead this team without the likes of Gabe Davis. He can lead this team without his center. That's making checks and helping him out and making sure that he's protected. And now he's the alpha dog on the squad because Diggs is now gone. Let's keep it a buck. Diggs was probably the most alpha on the squad when it comes to, personality and all that good stuff. So now you don't have that anymore. Josh is the leader. He is that guy. So he steps into that leadership role. And I've said this before. You guys have heard before. And I said this in the offseason last year. His maturity. Will he have enough maturity now to be that guy? What are we? Year 7 with Josh, right? So he's not his rookie contract anymore. He's not that. He's 28. So he's in that prime of his career. So this is where you now take over. You're the guy. People are going to be leaning on you. And your teammates love you. They absolutely love you. So now you got to lead these guys. A lot of these guys are looking up to Josh and be like, all right, man, you're our guy. You lead us, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, he's got to limit those damn turnovers, bro. Because That was a big one. That was a big one when it came to him and the success of his team, because there are moments where you're like, fam, like when I look back at that Jets game, I know it was early in the season. When I look back at that Jets game, I was like, golly, you're just giving that thing away like candy. And those moments, bro, we had no business losing to the Jets. But when you give the football away, 18 turnovers, that can't cut it. So that we'll be looking at to see how this all plays out, right? We don't have that number one guy to take over a game where you need to go and get to that guy. So you become that guy. I think Dan Orlovsky said it. 90% of John, I think it was like 90% of this team is going to be, the football's going to be going through a lot of these guys, and 10% is going to be Josh Allen putting the game on his back and going, right? But those turnovers got to chill. So leadership is one thing that we're going to be watching. How does he lead these guys? Does he limit his turnovers? Because we're going to need those turnovers we're going to limit those turnovers because of the guys that we have on the squad. I think he does limit them. I think he understands that we can't be giving that ball away, because if we get down 2 scores, is there someone that's going to step up for you that you can say, okay, you and I, let's get after this, right? That guy was Stephon Diggs. When he used to say, you and I, let's put this on our back and let's get this cracking. You don't have that anymore. So you got to limit those turnovers, bro. You got to limit those turnovers, right? And the pressure becomes on because now the AFC East has gotten stronger. The Jets defensively, whether you want to call them, the Jets defense is going to be solid yet again. They're going to be solid yet again. They've added some offensive pieces. Mike Williams goes on the team. He's still hurt, but when he does come back, it's going to be Mike. You're going to have, obviously, Breece Hall is going to be on that squad. They got a bevy of running backs, and then you got Garrett Wilson. So, and you got Aaron Rodgers returning. Now, whether Aaron Rodgers returns to what he used to be, that's a whole different ballgame, right? Patriots, we don't know what's going on with the Patriots. We really don't know. And I'm only referring to the AFC East. I didn't even get to the whole scope of the AFC. The AFC already is a tough division, a tough conference, excuse me. So we'll be paying attention to how Josh deals with all of that. There's a lot that he's going to have to focus on. And what I love about how Josh's mindset and his mind frame works, one game at a freaking time. One game at a time. That's what it comes down to. One game at a time, and we'll go from there. But the guy's a dog. And we're about to find out this version of Josh Allen, and without Diggs, the era without Diggs and Davis, without Mitch Morse. You got Joe Brady coming in as your coordinator for his first full year as a coordinator. They like each other. This should work out. But boy, are we going to be watching this team, because a lot of folks, some folks have this team not even making the playoffs. Some folks have this team as a 9-win team. And 9 wins, I don't think gets you into the playoffs. Truth be told, Vegas has us at, I think, 10.5 wins, 11 wins. I have us at 12. We only barely, you got to keep it real. It took us to week 18 for us to get into the playoffs, folks. It was winning in. Winning, you're out. We needed that game. And Josh stepped up. The last 6 games, Josh stepped up. So this is what we're going to be looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. So this team is doubted. Don't get me wrong. This team is doubted because they feel like other teams have definitely taken the leap over the Bills because Diggs is gone. All of a sudden, we ain't shit. I don't get that notion. Last time I checked, we still got 17. That defense is still damn good. That's the way I look at it. So Josh is definitely one of the players that we would definitely be paying attention to. And last but not least, I didn't have the image for this player. But I do have this here, and there's one last player that I gotta touch on, and then I'm out of here. And let me move on from this background here so I can get to where I want to go with this. And this player right here is who I'm gonna be paying attention to. There's gonna be pressure on Kaiir Elam. Kaiir Elam, he's a fascinating, you know what I'm saying? It's fascinating. He's a fascinating topic because we drafted him, we traded up for him. We felt that we needed a cornerback, number one. We needed to transition into the prototypical size and speed corner. I still think he's got a great skill set. It's just a matter of confidence. Get the confidence under this brother, and we got something. Rasul Douglas, he ain't a spring chicken now. All right. So whether we keep him another year or two, I don't know what the situation is. Christian Benford, we've got youth on our side, and he's only going to develop and become a better player. Kaiir Elam, cornerback 3, I feel like he's got something to prove. Can you still step up to the game and step up to the plate and show that you still got that skill set? You still got people believing in you. He's got, and look, my man says, yo, I think Elam has hit his ceiling. I don't know if he's hit his ceiling. And that's the thing about him. I don't think he's hit his ceiling. I think the injury obviously played a part. He was nursing an ankle injury last year, and confidence was the big one, right? The rookie transition didn't quite go the way he anticipated. So did we draft him way too high? I wouldn't say way too high, but I don't think he needed to be drafted in the first round. I don't think he was a first round talent, in my opinion, but he's still a good player. If we drafted him in the second round, cool. But we traded up for this brother, man. We gave up stuff. So I want to see him succeed. And I want to see him part of this team for a while. And this is a year that he can prove himself, because next year, the following year could be, is this something that, okay, he's got to prove himself? Does something happen? Does an injury happen? He steps up? Who knows? But he's got to show what he's got. He really does. So Kaiir Elam is one that I'll be very much paying attention to. I know he's going to be the third cornerback. Nonetheless, we still play a lot of dime. We still rotate our guys. Guys get in. He is one guy that is going to get into this game. So looking forward to seeing Kaiir Elam's development. How does he come in this offseason? It's a big one. So I'll be paying attention to Kaiir Elam. So let's recap who we talked about here in terms of who needs to step up based on lots to prove and pressure. All right. So Kaiir Elam was the one that I didn't have an image for him, but I have my graphic for him. So that's the one guy that I've been paying attention to. I think that he's one guy that he needs to step his game up and really show us that, okay, give us a little hint that, all right, I can see why they drafted him in the first round. That's what we need to see. If we can see that, we straight. We good. So Kaiir Elam, Von Miller, Josh Allen's got his own set of pressures on him. Connor McGovern definitely taking over at the center position. You got big shoes to fill in that regard. Keon Coleman, another guy that's got big shoes to fill. Not his fault. But you're the first pick that we had this year, and you got big shoes to fill in terms of Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. Don't get me wrong. You got a bevy of weapons next to you, but we're going to be watching Keon Coleman. Why? Because everybody's made it a thing that we're going to be in love with this guy, and now we're going to see if it translates. Can we love him on the field as much as we love him off the field? A lot of that is going to play a part in the development and how this all plays out with our guy, Keon Coleman. Obviously, Von Miller is going to be on that list of guys that we want to, we want them stepping up. So Von, Josh, Keon Coleman, Cole Bishop, and the safety room, definitely going to be paying attention to that one. I think that's one of the biggest ones that I'll be paying attention to. How does this all play out? Because if that safety room is trash, boy, it's going to be a long season. We can't have that. So this is where our pass rush is going to have to get after it. This is where our linebacking core is going to have to get their depth and all that all plays in. Everybody's got their role. Everybody's got to just play their role. And I think we'll be all right. What's up, Michelle? It says, yo, Rico, I'm going to be honest. Returner is easily going to be Daquan Hardy. I watched him play since Bay. Oh. We'll see. I saw Daquan Hardy. The return position is going to be crucial. So he might be the guy that we pan there. Listen, we went from one Hardy to another. So maybe this is the one that they got correctly. This is the one they got correctly. So I'm with you, Michelle. We're gonna be honestly paying attention to Daquan, and you've been watching him since he's been a yay high. So listen, man, I hope you're right. I hope you're right, brother. I hope you're right. I'm just going through the chat here. So I know you guys had some things you wanted to say. Let me see here. Nicholas says, laziest take I've heard is that Kaiir was a reach, or that he's a bust. Dude was undoubtedly a top 3 outside corner coming out of CFB. Dude literally had a torn ligament last season. Give him time. I agree. That's what I'm saying. I think there's still some some good left in him. I think once he's healthy enough and this confidence is there. I mean, we're going into year 3. So this is where I need this brother to step up and really carve yourself a role. Carve yourself a role on this squad. And that way they know, okay, listen, you're the man-to-man guy. You're the guy that's the man cover guy. So I might need your services over Christian Bedford's services because I'm going up against a guy that runs routes crazy. So listen, Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's use Marvin Harrison Jr. as an example. Maybe the matchup serves us best if his confidence is up. Bro, he's cooking us out there. We need some guy that can stay with a man. So we're going to go man defense, folks. Kaiir, you're in. Lock this brother down. This is where McDermott and Babbage will have to figure out where and how they use this defense, right? There's going to be matchups. Matchups is a big part of this, man. So if he's killing us during the zone, so we got to go man, this is where Kaiir might commit. So that's why I feel this is where he can carve himself that role and eventually get back in the good graces, if you will. I mean, I hate to say good graces, but get back to proving that you can be a top player on this team. So that's what I'll be looking forward to seeing. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let me look at some of the comments that are going on here before I get out of here. Let me see here. One thing I noticed in our games against the Chiefs is that they do not take their foot off the gas. The Bills would have just they would go super conservative, and it was mind-boggling. I mean, listen, that's a coaching mentality, right? Either if you got it and you feel like you can kind of like put these guys away, put the foot to the pedal and go. I think McDermott is one of those guys. I think he used to be super conservative. Then he turned, I think it was last year, he started to kind of take more chances. I mean, look at how many times we went for it on fourth down. On fourth down. A lot of times we went for it on fourth down. More than I anticipated that we would. And that's confidence. That's like, I trust my team. I trust that we can do this. I'm not going to stay conservative and say, it's 4th and inches. I'm going to punt. Nah, bro. 4th and inches. I know who I have in my quarterback. Why the hell am I punting? I'm going for it. So I think we started to see a little bit more confidence in McDermott and being a little more aggressive. Sometimes it did bite us in the ass, i.e. fake punt. Some might say, yo, I understand what he was trying to do. But the other side is like, bro, the whole world knew what you're trying to do. So you decided to be aggressive on the moment that wasn't the greatest. So so do what you will with that information. But I do feel McDermott has definitely turned over a leaf in terms of being a little more aggressive and not being conservative, because I know he knows he was conservative. That is for sure. So we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. My man Walter, what's up, Walter? Walter came in and said, will Allen have the maturity to go over and cuss out McDermott when the defense is giving up 27 points in the postseason against the Cincinnati, the Chiefs and the Bengals? I mean, listen, we already know that Josh Allen isn't that dude to rah in your face and yell at you and you know what I mean, chastise you on the sideline. That's not his deal. He ain't Tom Brady like. Tom Brady will be the type of person that will tell you something. Or Peyton Manning will say, yo, man, I'll do what I got to do. You do what you got to do. Just stay out my business, right? We'll call the right players. No, stay out my business. You're this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he's got that in him. But this is the year where, listen, if you really want to win, sometimes you got to call guys out for what it is. And some guys, some people, I can't say some people, they respond well to that. I know I'm for one, when I played, if a coach really got on me and was like, yo, you messed that up and you did this, you did that, whatever the case is, yo, I internalize it. Yo, I did mess up. Yo, he called me out for it. I got to set my game up. There are some folks that you yell at them a little bit, but like, yo, don't disrespect me like that. Yo, it's not disrespect. We're men. We're playing this game. I'm telling you that you did something wrong, and I might be a little aggressive on it, but that's how I am. Let's roll. And we'll see how it all plays out. Is Josh that guy? I don't see Josh being that guy, man. But if he turns over a new leaf and he starts, you know what I mean, being the more aggressive, I don't want to say aggressive, but the more assertive leader, then yeah, man, listen, that might be a solid move for him. I guess we'll see. After the draft and trades, I think our receivers are super underrated, but expect Josh Allen to save us from a lot of close games. I don't sleep on this receiver room. I won't sleep on this receiver room. I think these guys will be just fine. Will they succeed better than they have in the past? That's up for debate. That's really up for debate. The one thing that's not up for debate is how Josh is that dude, and he's going to do what he's got to do, and these guys are going to have to step their game up. It's just what it is. Chase Claypool, MVS, these new additions, Curtis Samuel, they've got a lot on their plate too. They've got to step up. They know what's at stake. They know what was on this team before and what left, and how everybody's going to be looking at the receiver room. So everybody's going to have to step their game up. It's just that simple. It really is just that simple. So that's it for me, folks. It's really going to be a really straightforward stream for me tonight. So you guys let me know. Like, did I miss someone on this roster that we're going to be paying close attention to? Is there someone I'm missing? Is there someone that we should be kind of like, you forgot about that guy? But I think, to me, on the offensive line is Connor McGovern. We got a new center. So how will that all play out? The good thing is he's familiar with Josh. It's not like he hasn't snapped the football to Josh before. So we'll see how that all plays out in that regard. The receiver room, you guys already know what time it is. Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, MVS, Claypool, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid. Bro, we don't have scrubs on this team. I don't care what people want to tell us. Oh, it's an average at best team. Bro, skill set. Where can you use this person's skill set? And where will he serve us best? Do we have like a number one bona fide receiver? No. But we got some guys that can make some noise on the squad. Don't sleep on Curtis Samuel having a solid year. A very big contributor. You go from being thrown to by guys that are not even on the level. Carolina Panthers, Washington Commanders, bro. They're not on the level of Josh Allen. So now you got yourself a Josh Allen. Bro, the sky's the limit. And now you reunite yourself with Joe Brady. The sky is the limit. So watch out for Curtis Samuel, man. I ain't sleeping on this at all. Not whatsoever. This receiver room, I'm looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. So, folks, that's it for me. Appreciate you guys always tuning in and showing love. And we will definitely catch you guys on the flip. This week is going to be a tough one because I got my mom visiting. And my granny's coming through, and a whole bunch of people come through. So maybe I'll try to squeeze in a pod or man Z-Bob, but we'll figure that out, and we'll go from there. So, folks, you guys have yourself a great rest of the week, and we'll catch you guys later this week, hopefully. All right? And it's the Rico Report. It's the Buffalo Fanatics. We'll catch you guys on the flip. And until next time, it's your boy, and I'm gone. Have yourself a fantastic evening.